Hi, my name is Carol Horter. I'm a business coach in Cairns, and I'd like to share with you some insights that I've had around this question that gets asked a lot in business. Why do my staff act like children? I'm going to refer back to a book that I read many years ago called I'm OK, You're OK, and delves into the idea of transactional analysis, and in particular I want to look at the PAC model. So the PAC model, PAC, stands for Parent, Adult, Child. Now, I just want to clarify before we start that it's not about your age and it's not about your position in the family. These are roles that we take on. So when you're in parent, you're listening to recordings from the past of when you were a little child and things that your parents said to you, okay? And same with child. When you're in child, you're listening to recordings and you're remembering what it was like as a child. And when you're adult, you're more present, okay? So parent, adult, child, nothing to do with the roles that we actually have. My daughter is 3 years younger than her brother, but loves bossing around and playing parent to her older brother. So it's got nothing to do with age. So let me just explain a little bit more about what these roles actually mean and what they look like so that you can start to recognise them. So the parent role is all of the good and all the bad that we remember of our parents, right? So it's the nurturing and the loving and the, getting the soup when we feel sick and that sort of thing. But it's also the controlling and the disciplinarian and the rule maker and feeling a bit claustrophobic around rules. And because they are the ones that had to make the rules at home when we were very little, they can often come across in our memory as very judgmental and critical. Okay, so the parent role in our head is that critical voice that we often hear. When you're in child role, again, there's the dual sides of it. There's the playful, creative, fun side of being a child, but there's also the emotional ups and downs and the not taking any responsibility and the emotional tantrums that can be exhausting to be around. Kids, will take risks because they're just not aware of the consequences to their actions. When you're an adult, you're more likely to be present, okay? So you haven't switched off and you're not listening to these voices, recordings from the past, which is, that dialogue that's going on in our head all the time. So we're more likely to make factual decisions and we're able to make decisions on the go much quicker because we're not referencing it to the past. We're able to assess what's going on in front of us and just, go with that. So we're more likely to be level-headed or appear that way to others. All right, so when people say to me, Carol, my staff act like children and it really annoys me, unfortunately for the person I'm talking to, what I know at that point is that they're in parent, because when you're in parent, you're almost 100% can guarantee you'll get childlike behaviour around you. And it kind of makes sense because most of us don't understand this, and when you've got someone who's being really controlling and really disciplinarian around you, it brings out the child, so you might unconsciously want to be the good child and please your parent, and so therefore you do everything that they tell you to do, or you might want to be the bad child and hate the rules and hate being controlled, so you'll be sort of like, yeah, I'll do whatever you say now, but up yours and I'll do what I like as soon as you're not watching. And that's when business owners get that thing where they say, well, it's fine when I'm there, but as soon as I turn my back, nothing gets done. So that's a sign that you're in parent and the staff aren't taking responsibility. Childlike behaviour is that whole, they're either wanting to please you and not using their own initiative, which again is not what you want, or they're saying yes to your face, but again not doing taking any initiative to think about the business, or they're actually, defying you and causing problems and fights in the workplace. So either way, you don't actually want that because you want people who can genuinely step up and take ownership of your business and really care about their work performance. So we want this in the workplace. So how do we get it? I just want to give you a few tips, okay? I can talk for a lot longer about this, but just some tips on how to get people to stay in adult. Firstly, you need to be able to stay present. You need to be able to really listen clearly to what people are saying and be conscious when that parent voice steps in. Well, we've always done it that way. Ask yourself, do we still have to do it that way? Or maybe it's time that we changed. If you made a rule, you made a decision and people are now challenging you on it, ask yourself, well, is there some merit in what they're saying? Could we do it that way? When you're willing to stay present and listen to what other people are saying, you're much more likely to make factual decisions that are good for the business and not based on some pre-recording that you've got in your head about the way you think the world should work. So the other thing is when you recognise childlike behaviour, be aware of it yourself. If someone's emotionally upset, which is one way, they're crying, or that's definitely childlike behaviour, don't buy into it. Don't go into the nurturing parent, okay? It just, again, reconfirms for them that they're the child. You can give them some tissues or something, but just say, look, we still need to talk about this, but we're going to have to do it later when you're not so upset. So stay in adult yourself. That'll help them to step up back into adult. Make decisions. Once you've made decisions, hold people accountable for following through. Childlike behaviour doesn't like any level of responsibility, so they'll try to weave their way out of being held accountable. So make sure you have staff meetings, make sure that it's clear what they have to do, and follow up. That's your job as the manager or the owner of the business, to follow up and to make sure that what you've asked people to do they're actually doing. And the more you do that, more people will realise that they have to step into that adult role. And if they don't, then you can think to yourself, well, maybe I don't want this person on my team, if they're determined to stay in child, which some people will be, okay? But be aware of your own behaviour, because that's the best way to, if you stay an adult, you're more likely to have adult to adult exchange with your staff. And I hope this works for you a treat. Thanks.